Hello everyone, I'm Michał,
And I'm Silvia.
and today we're gonna do our first Q&A interview.
We'll not be answering all of the questions because some of the questions we got have a lot of material for us to reply, and we have so much to say that we would like to make individual videos about them. So let's go for it.
So we'll start with an amazing question from Bruno, which is, how do you come up with good questions for someone?
So what I usually do, because I was actually for a while intentionally collecting questions from people, so I actually had this list on me that I was always carrying and writing down questions on. I would just ask people, look, do you know any very interesting questions? I'm collecting some, and I would like to know if there's anything that you'd like to be asked or that you like to ask other people. Also remaining attentive to questions that people ask you and that trigger something for you, and just being genuinely curious. This is something that helps me when I really want to know the answer to that question, then the question is going to be amazing for sure. The next question we have is from Marta. Do you ever lie to people? If so, what makes you do that?
No, I try not to lie to people and make conscious effort that I answer truthfully. However, what makes me curious about this question is, how do you define lying? Because, for example, if you're in a situation when you're doing something or saying something against yourself, something that is not really aligned with who you are, this also is kind of lying. It's lying to yourself. Do you feel like doing this kind of thing? And you don't really feel like, but you feel social pressure, so you say, yeah, let's do it. So this kind of lying, let's call it, lying to myself, I also try not to. And I find this is a very important thing, to try to be truthful to yourself. And when you're truthful to yourself, it becomes natural to be truthful to others.
If we consider that lying is not being in full alignment to what we are feeling, sometimes I realize that I do that. Even as I speak, I notice that, oh, why am I saying this? This is not really true. This is just a mental construct. And I realize that also sometimes I purposefully hide things as a coping mechanism to defend myself, because in that moment it's just the best way that my inner child knows how to protect itself and to make itself less vulnerable.
And here's another question from Marta, which is, you talk a lot about making every relationship or interaction with another human meaningful. But what do you do if you're in a situation when you need to interact with someone who is not interested in authentic relating? For example, you're on a train or for long hours in one compartment with a person who wouldn't stop talking about themselves.
This is such an interesting setup. But for me, what I understand by meaningful connections, meaningful interactions, it's not necessarily to forcefully connect with someone and forcefully go deep with that person. I think sometimes the meaning of a specific interaction is just that we prove to ourselves that we are strong enough to say, look, I don't really feel like talking to you right now, or I don't really enjoy listening to you talking about yourself. And as long as this is communicated in a compassionate and understanding way, I think that interaction can be so life-changing and so meaningful, and it doesn't really need to be explored in depth. It's just about our strength. The next question is from Vera. What movies would you recommend for a couple?
So, that's a very interesting question for a movie geek. Well, it depends on the couple. Different couples like to watch different things, but one almost bulletproof solution, I would say, Miyazaki's fairy tales. All his films are so good, so good. They're masterpieces, and they're wonderful to watch with your partner or on your own as well. But there are some very interesting films about relationships. For example, Bitter Moon. It's a bit hard to watch at times, but it's very interesting. Or The Lobster.
Some of my personal favorites also are Before Sunrise and Before Sunset, which are part of the same story. and it's about a couple, and it's amazing.
Another question is from Manuela. Don't you feel the need to have a place of your own, which you can call our home?
So I would say sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's not necessarily about having a place, it's more about the feeling, the need that we want to get fulfilled by having a place, which in this case would be stability and safety. Sometimes we need more stability and safety, and perhaps one day this would manifest as us having a home. Right now, we are not really in that place. We manifest stability in other ways, like having our own routines, spending time with each other and supporting each other. But one day, who knows? Maybe a house, maybe a sailboat, maybe a van. We'll see.
Yeah, and for me, home is more of a state of mind. It's not really a physical space necessarily. But yeah, one of my biggest dreams is to travel on a sailboat, but I don't think it's really connected to a sense of having home. It's just more of a way of traveling that's very convenient for me.
The next question is from Bruno. How can you find a way to enjoy a place you're traveling through like a local?
I cannot really answer that question in a way because we don't travel like a local. You know, we are never really locals in a place unless, you know, it's our hometown or city where we lived in for a long time. Plus, it's not really what we are looking for in the experience of traveling.
The reason why we don't really travel like locals is because we have our very own routines and health habits, for example, with food. If we would eat like locals in many of the places where we go, we wouldn't feel as healthy as we do right now. Or if we would just constantly adapt to the routines of every different place, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do and that brings us well-being every day, in the morning, in the evening, our work routines. So we enjoy observing the local life and mixing into a certain extent, but we really enjoy keeping our own lifestyle, which we know and have tested. That is amazing for us.
And what we could recommend is traveling slowly. And traveling slowly means just staying longer time in a place. And this way, this place becomes home and you feel like you live in this place. And this allows you to really see more and have your own deeper connection with this place and just more complex story to tell about it. It is really like you lived there, even if it's 3 months, not that you're just passing through in a day and take a few pictures and see one thing.
The next question is from Elena. How would you comment on the following statement? The emotional stability of a couple depends on their geographic and economic stability.
So for us, I think the emotional stability comes first, because if you're emotionally stable, you are then able to pursue your goals. Doesn't matter where you are or what is your financial status. It starts with you, and when you know what you want, you can achieve it wherever you are in the world.
The next question is from João. I would like to know if and how you protect your electronics, namely laptops, from the hypothetical hazards of traveling, bumpy transportations, humid climate, etc. Much love.
For me, my laptop is always in a protective hard plastic case. It's a case that's attached on the laptop, so it's not that I put my laptop in and out, it's a part of the laptop itself. And I love it, you know, protects it from scratches and this kind of things. And also when I travel, I put it in a canvas bag and then inside my backpack, and you know, I find it okay. Plus my laptop is insured, so I paid for worldwide insurance for my whole travels, so it covers not everything, but it covers enough for me. Another question. How do you track that polyamory is really helping you to be better together and not simply allowing you to hide from the issues you're facing as a monogamous couple?
Polyamory doesn't really allow us to hide things. On the contrary, it just brings more things to the surface. There's sometimes so many emotions coming up that we just have to address them, otherwise it would become unbearable. I think it has the opposite effect, actually. It just makes us be more transparent with each other, and we practice this transparency and this honesty. And actually, I think we notice even more things, we uncover even more things than when we were in a monogamous relationship. Do you think the dynamics you propose for a couple would change after a child is born?
Well, we don't really know. We think so, most likely, but then depends what you mean by the dynamics you propose for a relationship. If you mean polyamory, it's very hard for us to answer because we don't have a child. What we are doing is we are thinking about it. We are talking to people who are, for example, traveling and traveling with children. How could that work? What are the challenges? Is it good for the child? What is their experience? So we talk to those people, but the truth is, doesn't matter if we'll have a child or not. We cannot really predict how our lifestyle will evolve in the next few years. We don't really plan that. It's an evolution, so we keep changing. In 2 years our life might look completely different than it looks now, and that doesn't matter if we have a child or not. Another question: how to overcome addiction to someone else? And the example we received was seeing someone you love twice in 1 week and just thinking about seeing them a third time instead of feeling blessed for having seen them already.
What I usually do with any kind of addictive behaviors or impulses that I'm feeling is I first of all observe them. Before, when this was happening to me, I can very much relate to this feeling. I would just, go for it and pursue this interaction with that person and let this, craving, this addiction just develop further. Nowadays, what I see is I try to identify what is the need behind this addiction. Why is it that I want to see this person so much? And sometimes it's actually something that is in alignment with my goals, with my understanding of what is healthy for me at this point in time, and then I pursue it. Some other times I realize that this is based on a lot of charged emotions. For example, sometimes I have a crush on someone, and in my mind all the time I'm thinking, oh, I just want to be with that person and see them again and get this validation and appreciation. And I realize, wow, I just need to give that to myself. And the reason why I'm feeling this so intensely is because I'm not really getting it from the most unique source, which is my own self. So I just take some time in those cases and just spend time with myself and try to give that to myself. So just like with any other addiction, I really think that what works is to find what is the root of it. Find what are the needs that you are trying to meet with the object of your addiction and heal that, and then you will just understand yourself better and you will start being more grateful for whatever is unfolding around you and inside of you.
Another question from Yvonne: how do you deal with individual frustrations once living, working, and traveling together?
We spend time apart from each other. Sometimes this is really necessary. Whenever something is surfacing for one of us, we have to deal with it on our own. Sometimes, however, it is also much easier and it feels much more nurturing if we support each other overcoming that. So we really try to be patient and understanding and seeing things through the other person's eyes. We also try to get as much rest and as much inspiration as we need, which can sometimes be a challenge if we tend to overwork or just stay in the same place for a long time. So we also try to find a balance, and this usually helps us be much more in the flow and overcome problems much easier.
And one other thing we do is we optimize this, because it's a constant evolution, it's a process. So once in a while we come together and we actually review it. How does this work? How is our work life? How is our couple life? How is our self life? Are we fulfilled? And this allows us to identify problems and then address them and find a solution that will make us happier.
Next question from Yvonne. Silvia and Michał, what is the unique feature you cherish about each other?
I love this question. So, for me, Silvia is just the most bizarre and weird creature I've ever encountered. It feels like it's a never ending learning process. We've been together for a long time. I feel like I really know her, but yet I don't. And her mind produces things that still blow my mind. And I discover things that still, make me feel, wow, this is incredible. This person is just, how this person can even exist. So yeah, that's what I cherish about you.
This is a very hard question because I feel like there are so many things that I cherish about Michał. But I would say that one of them for sure is his ability to be a child and to be vulnerable and to open himself up and have this really funny, pure sense of humor and just showing when he's sad or angry and being very playful and being so open in this way that is so childlike, so vulnerable, and that is so rare to find nowadays in people that I usually meet. And this is so unique, and I am so glad to be with a person that has this and that inspires me to be the same way and to also allow my inner child to come out and play and be free.
And here is one more question from Marta. Have you experienced the issue of automatically comparing yourself to others in your mind, in terms of how they are doing in business, creating perfect lifestyle, earning money? What would be your advice to get out of the loop of comparison and not let it influence your relationship? I catch myself comparing myself to others very often. That's the main reason I am asking.
So to me, this depends on who that person is. If it's someone that I can talk to directly, I would usually have a deeper conversation with that person and try to realize the humanity in them. Try to realize that they are as imperfect as I am, and there is no rational reason for me to feel nervous or anxious because I don't feel as good as them in a way. Something that always works as well is for me to just express gratitude for the things that I have achieved and try to look at them from a non-comparative way, just complete whole things that I have done and that I have to be grateful for because they are just amazing and because I am my own unique self and I cannot really be compared to anyone.
And for me, my process is slightly different. So I look for elements in their life that could potentially work for me. What is it that is so appealing? What makes them feel somehow superior to me? What is this thing that makes me feel like, oh wow, this guy is so amazing and I'm not really there? And then I try to see what elements I can apply to my life and in what way. Of course, it's my own life. My path will be always different than the path of the other person. But look for those elements and try to break them down, try to pick what could work for me and try it for myself. And if it works, amazing. If it doesn't work, it's also great. I've learned that this particular element doesn't work, doesn't fit to my life, and I keep looking for other puzzles. So in that way, every person that I compare myself to gives me a possibility to grow and move forward, so it doesn't really create any tension. It's just positive.
And finally, the last question of all, asked by Bruno, is the following. And how deep is your love?
And I think it is quite deep. It's so deep, in fact, that as for now, we never reached the bottom of it. And every day we are making this conscious decision to explore it more and see what it is there, what is our path, and connect through hard times that we face and challenging emotions that we face as every other couple, and enjoy the wonderful adventures that we live.
And I think this is all. Some of the questions, as we said, we will reply later on in other videos, so stay tuned for that.
And we're always here to answer your questions, so keep firing them, write in a comment or wherever else. We are really looking forward to answer and to help you build your wonderful relationships with other people.
Thank you so much for watching, and see you later.
Love you.
Bye.